So stocks weren't so pretty today, guys. Literally every index went down, with the Qs leading the losses, down almost 2%. We had silver down, gold down as the VIX went up, and oil went up as well. So we have to break down where my head's at, the charts, 5 stocks I'm watching now, and a hedge that I just put on in the market. We're going to break down that trade in this video. So guys, hit the like button, make sure to subscribe, join my Patreon if you want to be a part of my private Discord, see my trade updates, my portfolio updates. All that's linked down below in the bio, in the comments, or go to stocksurfs.com/Patreon. And now, cheers, guys. Got my good old energy drink. I appreciate you all for tuning in as always. And now, let's dive into it. So the S&P 500, looking at SPY, went down just about 0.75%, just under 0.75%, as again, the Qs led the losses today, down about 1.75%. Now we're trading right around the 180 moving average here on the 4-hour time frame, as the Dow went down, not much. Dow went down 0.25%, and the S&P, or which one am I missing? The Russell went down 1.3%. So pretty rough day for tech and the small caps. The S&P not too bad, and the Dow really not bad at all. Honestly, only 0.25% down, as the VIX, which we were talking about a couple of days ago, I think the VIX is going to go up. Oh boy, it's starting to go up now. We went up over 4%. Nothing too crazy, but it is starting to creep up back into the mid-high teens, as oil, both Brent and WTI, had green days. WTI went up around 1%. Same with Brent, about actually 0.5%. But they're creeping up. Brent's now at 91 a barrel. WTI is at 84, 85. As things in the Middle East, who the heck knows what's going to happen? Things are stalling. The Strait, who knows what's going to happen with the Strait, when it'll fully open, and who's going to run it. I mean, guys, nobody knows. There's a lot of uncertainty, and that's why oil continues to trickle up. Not near where we were a couple months ago, thankfully, but it is starting to run off the lows, and it kind of looks like, obviously, oil doesn't trade based off technicals fully like other stocks, for example, but it kind of looks like we're putting in higher lows here. We're starting to break out. We have an inverse head and shoulders. Oil might be going back to 100 a barrel by the looks of it, and it looks like a lot of these energy stocks are pricing that in. We have XLE completely ripping again, which is a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. So rough day for the market. Yen carry trades looking a bit shaky. Bond yields here in the United States are going up, 10-year, 30-year. There is uncertainty over in Japan, which is causing fear here in the U.S. market, which maybe I'll dive deeper into that in another video. And we have the midterms coming up, guys, on November 4th here in the United States. And I think there's going to be volatility. In fact, I talked about in my previous video, the VIX usually goes up heading into the midterms, right? Towards 18, 19, 20. And it typically sells off after the midterms, right? Historically, based on my research, guys. But we are due for some volatility, which doesn't guarantee the market's going to crash, which I'm not calling for that, quite frankly. But we could get some sort of pullback. I think we will, quite frankly, between now and November, right? And with that being said, I want to share with you guys a hedge that I put on. Nothing too crazy, right? It's kind of like an insurance policy for my portfolio. And listen, when you're long a bunch of stocks, in my case, a lot of these are tech stocks, AI stocks. I mean, not all of these companies I own are tech and AI stocks, but a decent chunk are. You want to have some sort of hedge just in case the market pulls back, there's volatility, a lot of your stocks come down. This way you can make some money on the downside. So what did I do, you may ask? Well, let's talk about that right now. I recently opened a put debit spread on QQQ as, again, kind of an insurance policy. a hedge on my overall portfolio, and the trade is pretty simple. You guys see the Qs right here. We're trading at what, 17 as of this video. Again, we went down 1.75%. And don't worry, guys, we'll talk about the 5 stocks after this part of the video, so make sure you guys stick on throughout. I want to explain my hedge very quickly. So what I did again is I opened a put debit spread. Essentially what I did, it's simple. I bought the $710 put on the Qs, which again, now we're trading at 717. So I bought the 710 triple Q puts that expire in November, I believe the November 20th strike. And at the same time, I sold the $690 put with the same expiration date, November 20th, which is a little bit after the midterms. And ideally, I close this trade before that expiration date even rolls around. But buying the 710 put, this gives me bearish exposure, while selling the 690 put lowers the cost of the trade and essentially defines my maximum profit in the trade, right? And the way it works is, listen, if the Qs stay above 710 at expiration, both puts expire worthless and I lose the premium I paid, which in this case was about a debit of $650, per put debit spread, right? So in this case, I lose that completely, right? If the Qs stay above 710 at expiration, and that premium is my maximum loss in this scenario, right? And it's essentially the insurance that I'm paying to protect my portfolio. And if the Qs fall below 710, the spread should generally increase in value at that point. My exact break-even price is 710 minus the premium I paid per share, which I think is about $6.30 to 50 cents, in that ballpark. So below that break-even point, which I think is at roughly 703 for my trade, below that break-even point, that's where the trade becomes profitable, with the max profit being at 690. The spread reaches its maximum value if QQQ is at or below 690 at expiration. And since there is a $20 difference between the two strikes, each spread can be worth a maximum of $2,000, right? And if you get more and more spreads, the more potentially you can make. And my maximum profit is that $2,000 per spread here, minus the amount I originally paid for the trade, which again, remember, that was about $6.50 times 100, 650, right? Or 630, whatever the heck it was. But you subtract 2,000, or you subtract that from 2,000, and that's the profit, right? The max profit. And the important thing to understand is that this is not an unlimited bearish bet, right? I'm kind of capped at 690. My downside is capped at that point, but my upside is also capped once the Qs reach 690 in this case. And I'm essentially using this trade primarily as a portfolio insurance, like I said. And if the market keeps moving higher, my stock should benefit. And if I essentially lose the cost of the hedge, it is what it is. The market is going higher. I'm making money on my stocks. And if the Qs sell off, the spread can gain value and help offset some of the losses in my long-term positions. So that is what I'm doing right now. Not a crazy amount of money. I'm not going all in on put spreads right now, guys, but essentially I want some downside protection heading into the election, quite frankly, for September and October as well. And that's what I'm doing. And if the Qs soar to 750, awesome. I'm going to make so much money on my longs that the loss of 650 per spread, that's not going to matter, right? Because I'm not going all in on this hedge. That's the point. A hedge is a small, very small part of your portfolio. Maybe like 1%, maybe 0.5%. We're not talking big dollar figures here, guys, or, big percentage value. I mean, it could be a big dollar figure, depending on how, big your portfolio is. But that's what I'm doing, guys, on the Qs to kind of protect myself on the downside. And it's way safer than, look, you're messing with options. There is heightened risk, obviously, but it's safer than straight up buying puts, right? it's a bit safer. And maybe I'll do another video on that at another time, but I do want to focus now on these 5 stocks I'm watching. We might as well dive into it. By the way, guys, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Hit that follow button if you're watching this video and you're finding value. I appreciate you all. So let's go over number 1, which is Amazon, ticker AMZN. And I know it's Amazon. We talk about it a lot, but I think it's finally cooled off enough post earnings, which, oh, by the way, earnings were unbelievable. We've cooled off a good chunk. I remember somebody in my Discord on Patreon was asking me, Stas, should I buy Amazon at $270 for a trade? I said no. Hold off. Be patient. And now we're at $259. Now might be the time to start scaling in. And quite frankly, I don't see Amazon going much under 240 to 250 at this point on this pullback. We're right by the 180 moving average as of this video on the 4-hour chart. That's a good sign. I think we've gotten a bit oversold, not extremely oversold. We're still up a ton off the lows, but we've shaken out some weak hands. We've seen a good couple of red days in a row at this point. I think Amazon, at the very least, could see some consolidation, but ultimately a pop here in the 250 range. So I'm excited about it. Ticker AMZM. And look, I got a decent amount of my position called away, especially in my Patreon portfolio, but I'm still long Amazon, right? I did get my shares assigned on those covered calls at a 260 strike. Now, funny enough, it's under 260. So if I had a little further out expiration date, I would not have lost those shares. Either way, I'm looking to get back in onto Amazon, especially if it somehow gets under 240. I'm going to build out that position again. So Eli Lilly is one that I'm watching as well. LLY, the company just reported earnings not too long ago. I think it was in the middle of July or end of July. No, early August, actually. Man, I should have had that better. Let me see here. Eli Lilly reported, let's see if we can find the numbers quickly. Maybe we can't see them down here. But I'm pretty sure from what I remember, they reported pretty decent numbers. And the stock at this point is starting to break back up. We had a 3.5% green day. We're by no means fully breaking out, but we are testing 1200 to 1250. That is a big resistance stemming back from the end of June, right? And we're making, at this point, higher lows into that resistance. So I think Eli Lilly could potentially take out 1250. This ascending triangle might play out based on what I'm looking at here. So I'm going to set my alert at 1250 on Eli Lilly. Mark is at or above 1250. And the next stock here, guys, is Ulta, ticker ULTA, which I like here heading into earnings. Ulta kind of got a bit too oversold in my opinion. It got very beaten up from February all the way to, July. We lost about $370 per share. I mean, this is crazy. Or $270, excuse me. Either way, 40%. And the stock's now been slowly recovering. It hit 440 a couple weeks ago, about a month and a half ago. Now we just hit 560 a couple days ago. We saw the drawdown of 490, pretty violent pullback. But then again, it got a bit overbought. Now we're seeing today we had a 5% green day. Buyers are coming in. We're getting the pop off this 180 moving average heading into earnings, and earnings are on the 27th, so we have about a week and a half till earnings. This might continue before earnings, this momentum, and that's what I'm watching out for on Ulta in the very short term. And let's see, CrowdStrike is another one that I'm watching that I want to see it come down a little bit more, guys. We hit 227 2 days ago, 2 trading days ago. Now we're at 212. The stock's down about 7% from highs. That's not enough. I need to see it come down a little bit more. We're at 213 right now. If this can come down to $200 a share, maybe $190. Oh yeah, I think that's going to be a juicy opportunity on CrowdStrike. and they have earnings as well. A lot of these companies have earnings coming up. Their earnings are a week from tomorrow, same day as Nvidia on Wednesday, next Wednesday. So keep your eyes on CRWD. I want to see it, like I said, come down a little bit more towards about 200. 190 would be ideal. Then I'm going to start buying back into CrowdStrike. And the memory stocks, we'll wrap it up here, guys. I think the memory stocks, quite frankly, are going to have more juice left. This little pullback on SanDisk looks attractive, especially if it comes down to 1,500 again. I might have to pick up some shares. I could easily see SanDisk back over 2,000 a share. And you're probably like, Stas, wait, didn't you buy puts, put debit spreads? Aren't you bearish now? No, that is a hedge, guys. I still think the market could go up in the short term, right? A lot of these stocks in the short term, but just in case we dump aggressively next month, the month after that, those put debit spreads are going to help me, right? They're going to save me a little bit. They're not going to completely, recover my losses, but they're going to be, I'll thank myself. Let's just say that. And if I add more spreads, I'll thank myself more if the market sells off. But I still think in the short term, SanDisk, Micron, these stocks potentially could see more upside. And we're still breaking out of these moving averages. Momentum is still shifting. We just pulled back. We had a little pullback day, which is healthy. Micron, same thing. The stock closed at about 940, 7% red day, but we're still holding the moving averages. We're still above the, this trend here, which I like to see. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Hit the like button. Let me know what you guys are trading, where you're at, in your journey here in the market. And make sure to check out my Patreon if you want to keep up with the community in Discord, on Patreon. And if you want to see my portfolio updates and all my trades, how I trade options, stocks, investments, all that stuff is on Patreon. Link down below, pinned in the comments and the bio, or go to stassurfs.com/Patreon. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in there, and shout out to all the members that have joined. Have a great rest of your day.